Welcome back, everyone, to the show. I am sat today with a powerhouse. She is the co-founder of a meal delivery service called DabbaDrop, Anshu Ahuja. Anshu and her co-founder, Renee, started DabbaDrop in 2018, exactly 7 years ago, having met as neighbours in Hackney. They discovered that a lot of meal delivery services were often wasteful, oily, and not as nourishing as they could be. They wanted to make eating joyful and easy again, and with Anshu's background growing up in Mumbai, they decided to reimagine curry night through the culture of the iconic Dabbawalas, along with bold flavours and a deep honouring of the rituals that many of us were exposed to growing up. And thus was born DabbaDrop. Now, let me say this right, 243,930 meals delivered later. I'm sitting with Anshu to talk about how they deliver banging curries to busy homes. Welcome, Anshu, to BGS.
Oh, what an intro. Thank you so much. Honoured to be here.
I may just have regurgitated your website.
No, well, you said it much better than I could have.
Oh.
So thank you for that intro. That's
It's
very
so
kind.
great to have you.
Yeah, really nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, long time coming.
Yes.
And I'm super excited to get into the details of the business and what's happening with it today. So a bit of context is that I came across DabbaDrop on Instagram, as many of us do nowadays. I was targeted one of your ads. And actually, I think I was being targeted it for a long time.
Oh.
And then eventually I was like, oh, let me actually look into this. So I have a very interesting relationship with cooking and food and just being a busy person in London. I like the idea of cooking and eating healthy, but the translation of that is not always amazing. And so I think with the help of delivery services like yours, I feel many of us can, maintain the rituals and just the regularity of eating good home food, karka khana, that we were talking about just before we started recording, while still maintaining our busy lives and getting on with stuff. Also because not a lot of us love cooking all the time. So tell me a little bit about what's going on in the business today. What's on your mind?
Well, I mean, we have been going for 7 years, like you said. Lots going on. We are sort of constantly trying to develop our sort of presence within the various neighbourhoods that we deliver in. We started in East London, which is where our flagship sort of home is. I suppose it's also where our kitchen is. That's why we have most customers. But people out west and southwest don't really know about us. So that is our focus for the next sort of 6 to 12 months to really, replicate what we built in East London over west. So that's kind of what we're focusing on, building the brand, creating new menus. It's never ending. You can't it's not sort of like creating something once and then you forget about it. It is it's constantly evolving. And that's what I love about it. 2 days, never the same, or 1 day, never the same. You just kind of, you roll with the punches. As a small business, founder-led small business, I suppose, and being independent, we don't have tons of investment. It's, mainly bootstrapped and community funded. You're often just kind of wearing millions of different hats on a daily basis, going from being an accountant to a content creator to being, sometimes a packer, a cyclist. Every day is different, and that's why it's so joyful.
Do you still deliver dabbas yourself?
I haven't actually, not this year. So that is a first. Up until last year, we were still very much, out and about, sometimes just delivering on foot if a cyclist had a flat or, you just couldn't predict what happens especially in the winter months. So, but this year we have actually sorted that out. So I am doing less deliveries, which is very exciting. And obviously, and next year I will hopefully be in more of a strategic position so that I can, think about the menus and the food and building the brand rather than being on the floor, because there comes a point in any sort of business where a founder needs to stop the doing and focus on the thinking and the becoming, focus less on being in the business and focus on the business. That's how I have been told to frame it.
Absolutely, yeah. I would love to know what kind of founder you are. Like, I want to learn a bit more about you, and I want to go back a little bit to when you were younger and what kind of things you were interested in doing and what kind of play you were into at the time.
where should I start? Do you want to start with the founder question or?
Well, I think the founder question actually will, like, it'll almost lead to that.
Okay,
so
fine.
yeah, I'd love to understand more about what kind of child you were growing up.
Right, so I grew up in Mumbai in the 90s, I suppose. I'm a 90s child, giving away my age.
I am too, don't worry.
And my folks still live out there. I came here to go to university, so I still have a great love and connection to Bombay. It is still my home, I suppose, even though, of course, London is where I live now. I had a, typical middle-class upbringing, lots of friends, lots of community, people, aunties, uncles, cousins dropping in at home at the drop of a hat, no announcement. So it was a busy, bold, exciting childhood, very different to what we have here in London. Yeah. And I had lots of friends. And my mum and her side of the family are great cooks. And I always grew up with really, really good food, handmade, a fresh meal for all 3 meals, which is a very, I suppose, luxurious position to be in now in London, where life is so busy and you don't, know. Home cooked meals are very, very rare. You maybe do 2 or 3 a week. So yeah, I grew up with that. And my mum is an excellent cook. And when I moved to the UK, it's what I miss the most. And I didn't know how to cook because I was spoiled when I was growing up. And, as a woman who grew up in the 70s, my mum and had a love marriage and was kind of rebellious in her own way, was a working mum. She was very much like, I don't think you should learn how to cook. Go and fend for yourself. Go get a job that allows you to become independent, have independent thoughts, make your own money, don't get married, don't fall for the sort of same old traps that I guess for years, Indian women have been subjected to. So she was very rebellious and very independent herself, still is. She was like, go dream big and be whoever you want to be. I mean, funnily enough, I've come back to cooking. So
I was going to say, did you actually rebel? Or
well, I did, right? I rebelled against my mum. So yeah, it is rebellious in a lot of ways. I guess food was very much, we were a foodie family, and maybe all Indian families are foodie families. So breakfast on the table, my mum would be like, well, what do you want for lunch? Finish lunch, what do you want for dinner? We were always talking, thinking, breathing food, Even now when I go visit my mum, we'll go have chaat at 5 p.m, even though we've had a really heavy lunch. Like food is what brought us together. It's what we talk about. When we go on holidays, we will look back on every single day of that trip, counting or thinking about the food that we ate. So food was always at the center of our family life, and still very much is. My mum will send me sort of like, instead of maybe recipes now, written out on a WhatsApp, she'll send me Instagram reels of like how to make sambar or rasam or whatever it is that we're discussing. So yeah, food is central to that. And Mumbai in itself is a very foodie city. Every street corner has some sort of Reidiwala, we call it, some kind of hawker selling bhel or vada pav or, whatever it is. I mean, Bombay sandwich, chili cheese toast. I mean, my mouth is watering just thinking back to it. I love that city because of its food. Yeah. It's always what's inspired me. And whether, it's first thing in the morning where you see the pawwala riding on his bike and bringing fresh bread to the local grocers, or late at night where you go to, I don't know, have keema pav or bade miyas where they do amazing like kebabs and things like that. So yeah, there's so much food to eat, whether you're at a fancy restaurant or on the street, it's full of it. So that kind of daily exposure to amazing food inspired what we're doing with DabbaDrop today.
What were your favourite home-cooked meals to eat? Or what's something you didn't like that you love now?
Oh, gosh. I mean, Karela, do you know what Karela
I
is?
love Karela.
Oh, you do?
I do.
I don't think I can. I don't know.
My nanny used to cook Karela really well, and I think she changed my perception of it. Yeah.
Yeah, how does she make it?
Well, I think she used to make, well, if I'm not wrong, either she would make it in like a kind of slightly more soggy curry style, or there'd be like a more crispy, like dry version with like masalas on it. That's quite Sindhi because I'm Sindhi, so it's like quite a Sindhi style of doing it. And that made it like quite yummy.
Yeah.
But I could eat anything that's crispy with masala on it.
I guess, like pindi or whatever.
Aubergine,
Yeah. What was my favorite thing? So my mum is South Indian. So idli, sambar, dosas, rasam.
Oh,
all the chutneys, puli kacha. Like, I'm pronouncing it wrong because I grew up in Bombay. I don't speak Tamil. But yeah, all of that kind of South Indian fare, coconutty, like spiced with loads of pepper. That kind of food is my absolute kind of like go-to comfort. Like, but also something really simple like khichdi and pickle is, it reminds me of home on a day like today where it's grey and rainy, or if I'm feeling miserable, khichdi with some achar is definitely something I turn to.
It slaps every time.
It does. It really does. Moong dal. I mean, there is nothing better.
No. And apparently my body agrees, because I was just telling you before we started recording that I've recently had a revelation in my early 30s now that, well, I was finding myself very bloated a lot of the time, but I don't think I was eating anything particularly different to what I was eating in my 20s. So context is I am vegetarian. So when I eat out, I probably eat a lot more bread and potato than most people, and cheese. And so obviously over time that like the bloat really, like you feel it as you get older.
Yeah.
But what I also realized was actually whenever I was eating home cooked Indian food, so like dal, roti, rice, khichdi, yogurt, like basically the stuff that we've grown up with, like a bit of salad on the side, I would instantly feel my body just like thank me. Like within 2 days, I feel like, I don't know, I've just de-bloated and I'm feeling better. And I had a chat with my mum about this, and I was like, I feel like I've just had this really simple realization that I probably should have known all along, which is in this world where, we're surrounded by this chat about how much protein you need to eat, what your plate should look like and all these things. I think I was falling into that a lot more. I'm eating a lot more protein. That's the thing. I'm actually following that, but I'm not feeling that great. However, when I eat ghar ka khana, I feel good. And so I'm wondering if it's literally just that what you grew up with is what your body just wants. And we're quite lucky that we grew up with home cooked food, you and I, right? Because maybe not everyone has.
Yeah.
But I guess that takes me to my next question, which is DabbaDrop is very much a food delivery service. You're in this space right now, which is booming. There is so much out there. There's meal kits that tell you exactly what you're eating in terms of grams, macros, all these things. But I don't see that in DabbaDrop. I see a tin full of things that I know I grew up with and I loved, or didn't love that much, but do now. Tell me what the thinking behind that part of running, I guess, the way you run DabbaDrop was, and why there's less of a focus on that and more just on, flavor and comfort and home cooked food.
Absolutely. I mean, since the start, the focus has always been on fresh home cooked food that bangs, that's full of flavor, but it's not got any additives or preservatives. It's just good food that we grew up eating. And when you go to your local curry house and you order in, that sort of freshness or authenticity or care to Indian food seems to have been lost. And I just wanted very much to bring that back. So rather than kind of like looking at calories, because yes, if you're eating a full plate of food, it does have calories. You're not starving your body. You're giving your body nutrition and nourishment. And it's not just about protein, fiber, whatever. It's actual good food that gives you energy, but makes you feel good from the inside out. That was very much the kind of internal tagline in the early days. It must feel good from inside out. It's not just about, hey, I've ticked all of these boxes. I need to feel nourished and I need to leave the table feeling full, not bloated, but just well looked after, like you've been given a hug, like your mum has cooked for you, like, you know, it's all of those things that I was missing sort of as a sort of, you know, mid-30s woman with a young family in London. I wanted my mum to cook for me, and I was like, well, you know, I'm just going to create that myself.
That's how so many things are started, isn't it? And I love the idea of nourishment as well as nutrition, because I think right now what we're consuming and just all of the noise that is in this industry right now is around nutrition. And I think it's so important. Like, I'm so aware of that. And, you know, not to dismiss that for a second, but I think that focus on nourishment has somehow like disappeared a little bit, or it's diminished. And I guess that's a personal realization I'm having that I'm sharing with you. But I love that that's such a big focus on DabbaDrop. And I would love to know, what are your customers saying about that?
I mean, that's essentially what it is. You know, it's not for everyone. If you're on a macro-based diet, then of course, I mean, even though dal does have protein, it's mainly carbs. Of course, we provide...
have been miseducated growing up around that.
You know, we are plant-based, so we don't have like tons of chicken, which is obviously, if you're on a macro, keto, etc. diet, then you want all of those things. Yeah. So it's not for bodybuilders. And, you know, we have had some Indian, it's mainly men, I would say, try it over the years, and they're like, well, no, it's
just carbs.
It's carbs, and I need to go to the gym and it's not working for me. So yes, but you know, there are others. Actually, we had a lovely Indian man who was here on studying on MA, I think it was, and he wrote a review saying, I'm a 40-year-old man and I have eaten my mum's food for my entire life, and I've recently moved here to London for a year, and I've been getting dabbas for the whole time, and I have to say your food is better than my mum's. And I was like, what a compliment. That is like the best honour. So
I also feel so bad for his mum.
I know. Well, maybe she doesn't know. But yeah, I guess what our customers, you know, are early adopters as well. They always talk about the joy that the dabba brings to the table. And they're not necessarily Indian. They come from, you know, all walks of life. And our food is very much, we didn't create it wanting to cater to just South Asians. It was everyone's welcome at the table. Indian food is for everyone, you know, and we don't want to make it overly spicy or overly rich. It should feel comfortable and flavorful for everybody, in the same way that you would eat at home. Your mum's not going to put tons of masala in it, or whoever cooks, sort of. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it is about bringing joy to the table, and then the tins obviously make it, you know, theatrical as well. You're not sort of ordering from a takeaway and decanting it onto a plate and like shamefully sort of like shoving the boxes into the bin. It's about being proud of your choices. It's about being good to your body. It's about taking a pause in your day, because the dabbas make you do that. You know, you have to sit at the table and enjoy a meal together, whether it's on your on your own, your children, your family, you've got a mate over, whatever it is. Take a pause. Take a load off, sit down and eat your food. Don't just stand there in front of a laptop, you know, rushing through your day. Give yourself half an hour. It's really important. It's really crucial. Your body will thank you for it.
What I really like about it as well is the option to, you know, not always having to do it every single day like that, but if you're busy and you're like, actually, let me just give myself a treat on this one day of the week or a couple of days of the week, where I'm like, let me get a dabba and let me just sit down and really enjoy my meal. And there may be days where I have back-to-back meetings. I mean, I worked in a job where I had back-to-back meetings for a long time, and it was hard, and I'm someone who forgets to eat. Like a lot of people say, like, I don't understand people who forget to eat. I'm like, I don't either, but I'm one of them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you're back to back, a toast with some, like, I don't know, just some achar or whatever is what you have time for. And
or a biscuit. Like, I'm just eating a pack of biscuits sometimes.
Yeah, so just easy, shove it in your mouth, get on to the next thing, give yourself some, a sugar rush and a crash at the end of it. But yeah, absolutely, that is what a dabba is for. It arrives during the day. You can pop it in the fridge and then kind of feed yourself off that when in between meetings. It's absolutely about, self-care. It's about like looking after yourself and giving yourself permission to do that without sort of the stress and the worry or, sort of frantically looking through a delivery app and working out what to order. It's like dinner that makes time for you. It's that's kind of like what we'll do all the thinking. You just worry about what you need to get on with in your life.
So speaking about you doing the thinking, I guess we can move into the actual the conception of the brand. So even just slightly before that, I mean, you worked in TV production for many years. So how was the transition from that career into this? Did you anticipate the big change, the pivot in your life? Did you always want to be somebody who ran her own business? What was that like? And I guess how was then the process of meeting Renee and coming up with this idea together?
So, yes, I worked in TV for about 15 years. I was, worked on shows like First Date. So, yeah, it was kind of big, busy, really full on. Had 2 kids and basically juggling kind of like a full-time job with motherhood, where I wanted to be present and available for every single kind of school pickup and drop off. I was failing at both jobs. So, I was very much like, something needs to change. I need to kind of, make sure I succeed at being a working mother. And both were really important to me. So yes, I think working in food was definitely my first love. So, and I'd sort of toyed with the idea of, or I'd flirted with setting up a business on my own. I've ran several pop-ups, cooking like Indian tapas in local neighborhood kind of joints. I ran a vada pav stall back in the day when I lived in Stoke Newington. So yeah, I'd put my foot in, the water, so to speak. And I was like, okay, well, I was in between jobs and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to test it out. I'm going to sort of cook for my neighbours, put it in a dabba, deliver it and see what it feels like. And Renee was one of those neighbours I delivered to. We already knew each other through the sort of, kids circle. Our kids were the same ages and they went to the same school and nursery. And, I was like, okay, hey, do you want to try the dabba? And she loved it. And that's how we sort of joined forces. And I guess starting your own business is very, very different to working for someone else, where you just kind of, you have your KPIs or, your deliverables and you just go in and do your job. And obviously you go above and beyond because, that's what you do. But starting your own business is, A, risky. You have to worry about where the money is coming in, what's going out, all of those things which I knew nothing about. So I just started cooking. It was very much supposed to be a side hustle and I'll do this for a few months and like go back to working in telly. I didn't have a grand plan. I was just like, and Renee was very much in the same kind of boat. She's like, let's just test it out. And, before we knew it, it's like first week I was cooking for 5 people and, doubled the following week. And it just grew organically. And before we knew it, we'd invested in like a small kind of neighborhood kitchen. And then we hit lockdown. So it kind of was, and we grew really quickly in lockdown because, what else were you going to do if you were at home? People wanted to be fed.
That's true.
So yeah, it was within the space of 2 years, we were sort of, we were in a 6-figure business and with no outside investment. And, we were like, okay, this is real. We're not going back to our old job. So, and also to transition from being friends to business partners was big. We weren't kind of like, hey, let's go out for a glass of wine. We were like every meeting or even every glass of wine became a strategy meeting. So yeah, it was a roller coaster in the early days. And I loved it. I wouldn't change it for the world. But looking back on it now, I think I would have liked to have had a proper plan and a kind of like, when chefs would ask me, so what is the ultimate dream? What do you want to do? Or, like we hadn't mapped it out. And I think, my advice to anybody is like, you don't have to have a perfect plan, but just have some sort of plan going into it. Know the cash you need to inject, or, are you going to be able to pay yourself? All of those sorts of big questions they're important conversations or, thoughts to have in the early days. Absolutely.
It's interesting you say that, because I also speak to people who are planners, and they say, you can spend your whole life planning, and then you just realize that, like the universe just kind of laughs in your face, because it's like, well, good luck with that.
I guess
it's a bit of a balance to be struck between the two, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, I guess coming from TV production, where you took the seed of an idea and turned it into something tangible, that was kind of what I did day in and day out and had done for 15 years. So for me, it was just like, okay, I'm making a documentary. I approached it in the same way,
right?
Rather than kind of thinking about balance sheets and like a real concrete plan, a P&L, and like all of those terms. I didn't really know anything about. I knew what a schedule looked like. That's about it. So I was just sort of learning on the go and kind of making it up as we went along. And, I think the brand story and storytelling in general was what kind of drove me. Like, I wanted to bring the idea of Karka Khana and the Dabbawalas to London in a fun, accessible, non-stereotypical way, and pay tribute to our culture as well. So that was kind of threefold. And obviously my experience in TV, that's the only language I knew, I suppose. And I guess, to your point, if you're not if you don't come from a planning sort of financial background, you just kind of
just vibe.
Yeah, you just get on with it. You don't know good from bad. You're just like, okay, we'll work it out as we go along. So I guess the first 3 years was very much about that. And like I said, wearing every single hat taught us every single job in the business. So now, I can turn my hand to any of them, and I know it inside out, and I know what needs to be delivered. And I try not to do that, because we've now got people in place who are the experts. So we, I guess as a small team, and, it is a great privilege to be able to hire people who actually know more than you. And that has always been our plan from the start. We're not the experts. You tell us how to do it.
Yeah.
Within reason, obviously, we are still the guardians of the brand. And that is what we will hold, obviously, everyone accountable to and for. So I think it's a really fun time for us, having grown it already to a certain point, to 7 figures, where we're like, okay, we can put shoulders down. We're not in that sort of scrappy startup phase where we're like, okay, well, a cyclist hasn't turned up. How are we going to make the deliveries? We have people who know what they're doing, who can kind of deliver to those KPIs that we've set. So it is exciting to kind of look back and be like, hey, actually, the road's not been easy, but we have achieved a lot. We forget to do that sometimes as people, as, as founders, as maybe as women as well. Like, you look back and like, pat yourself on the back, be proud of what you've achieved. It's not maybe everything that you set out to, or, you had in mind as a goal, but hey, it was a lot.
It was a lot. Absolutely. We do forget. And it is a common trait in women. I think we do set ourselves to a high standard. I think the world sets us to a high standard as well.
Yeah.
And so we're constantly trying to live up to that standard that isn't tangible necessarily. It's just this thing that we've all grown up with. And I think also, as somebody who runs her own business as well now, I feel like I'm always looking ahead. I'm always looking around. I'm like, oh, how do I keep up? How do I do this? Not even keep up with other people, but just with my own aspirations of where I want to go. And I had a little reflective moment actually last week when I was home with my family, and we were listing out some of the really cool things that have happened this year, because actually I hadn't done that until this point, and we're in end of November now, nearing December, and I was like, wow. I started like really thinking about it, and I was like, this year has actually been one of, like, in terms of cool factor, I would say probably one of the coolest. But obviously there's so much other stuff behind the scenes, like you're, for every like surface level, tip of the iceberg thing that happens, everybody sees, you're seeing the full picture. And so it's very hard to like step out of that, the
day to day.
Yeah, the day to day of it, like the jumble of all of that, and be like, actually, no, I've come quite far.
Yeah.
It's like, the zooming out of it.
Yeah, it's so important to do. And in fact, I was doing the same thing in the shower this morning. And I was like, it is November, it's nearly December, it's the end of the year. And, even on the surface to everyone or the team, maybe, or like our followers, our customers, maybe, we haven't developed loads of new menus or, like we've not done as, I don't know what people are thinking, but, it's like you put yourself in someone else's shoes and you're like, oh, maybe we haven't achieved that much. But actually, I was counting back on all the different things that we have achieved. And they're small things. They're not like, and not every year needs to be about the big bang. It's like we have stabilized the business. Just like I was saying, we are not firefighting anymore. That, for a small business, is like a huge accomplishment. We are all in strategic roles. We can predict what's coming. We can forecast correctly. We know what next year looks like. We can deploy the right people in the right positions. And all of those milestones, while they're not sexy, they're really, really important. Yeah. It means that you have peace of mind. We can go to bed not worrying about what tomorrow looks like or what it's going to bring. And all the hustle things that were fun in the early days become actually really tiring once you get to year 4, 5, 6. You're like, when will I be able to predict what's coming next? And we're finally there, which is really exciting.
Also because you've got other things going on.
I mean, absolutely. But, you can only grow from a solid foundation. You can't keep firefighting for the rest of your life. That needs to stop at some point. So, I mean, 7 years. It takes 7 years maybe. I don't know, who was it that said take 7 years to grow a tree, or, take 7 years to grow a proper garden? That's kind of, it's cyclical, nature. That's how it works in nature. Maybe it's also the 7-year itch, isn't it?
It is. No, 7 years is definitely, I think I hear this a lot as well myself, of like, oh, every 7 years things like rejuvenate and there's a cycle. And that's so exciting. It's a nice time to sit and reflect now on it. So I guess speaking of that, what I realize as we're chatting is that not a lot of people actually know how DabbaDrop exactly works.
Oh, yeah.
So if I was a new customer and I went on your website, or I came across you on Instagram like I did, what can I expect as a new customer?
So it is a subscription service. And the reason it's a subscription, I mean, most food delivery platforms are subscription, I suppose, for, commercial reasons. But for us, the Dabba became the reason we are a subscription. It's because it allows us to be completely closed loop. Sustainability was very much part of the story we wanted to tell. So there's, zero waste in the packaging side of things. It also, so you sign up basically as a first-time customer, you sign up for a subscription, you choose your delivery day, Wednesday, Thursday or Friday, and you choose your start date, and then you forget about it. And we do all the cooking, so there's no choices to be made. We have a weekly changing menu, and we curate, we have different we travel to different regions, we have different menus, and each menu has 4 different dishes. So always a rice, a dal, or a legume curry, so chickpeas, kidney beans, that kind of thing, a vegetable curry, and then a sabzi, so a dry stir fry kind of dish. And then on the week of your delivery, we'll send you a quick reminder of the menu that's coming. No focus on macros or anything like that, although you can go and check out the nutritionals on the website, to see how much protein, etc. you're eating. And then the delivery arrives. You get a little sort of reminder of, or live tracker of when the cyclist is arriving. And then the Dabba arrives on your doorstep, and you pop it in the fridge or pop it in the oven whenever you're ready to eat. It takes 30 minutes from oven to table. You don't have to do anything. No chopping, no cooking, no thinking, no doing. Literally lay the table, pour yourself a glass of something nice, and then eat. And then wash your tins out, and then the next time So customers can choose either a weekly, fortnightly delivery, and then either leave your dabba out for the cyclist to collect on your next DabbaDrop day, or open the door to them and have a nice chat. Our cyclists are really friendly, so they're the face of our business. So yeah, they're all trained up on what we're cooking, and they can have a nice little chat with you about what you're about to tuck into as well. So yeah, that's how it works. We have customers who've been with us right from the very start. Who've been eating with us for 7 years now, tried all the various menus, all the collaborations, and yeah, we get lots of lovely feedback, which is kind of one of the main reasons we do it, feeding people nice, nourishing, freshly made food that celebrates our heritage and our cooking. So yeah.
I love that. What a great business idea, and what a great concept that is also being executed so beautifully from what I see. And I can't wait because I'm actually going to try it for the first time today. So I guess my next question following up from this is, how do you actually come up with the concepts of what regions you want to represent, and how do you actually go about doing the research for what you want to put in that dabba, and also who cooks it? Where is it cooked? Tell me more.
So I guess, to answer your second question about the regions, in the early days it was very much sort of like, hey, India or curry is so much more than chicken tikka masala or a korma, and I want our customers to experience that. So, we started with the classics like a butter chicken or a classic makhani sauce. And so that obviously comes from Delhi. So let's curate a dabba from Delhi's. And we had, over the years we've changed the dishes up, but currently it has a chickpea and cauliflower chaat in the top tin, which is a sort of dry dish. Then we have a makhani with crispy tofu, so we're plant-based. And then we have cumin and tomato dal, and then we have a jeera rice. So that is the kind of format we follow. It allows people to, have familiarity of the sort of format. If you don't understand, if you haven't eaten karka khana before, then you maybe and you're used to the sort of takeout curry house kind of staples, which is sort of like heavy curries.
Yep.
This allows
onion bhajis.
Yes, we have samosas and naan and roti and things like that people can add on as well. This allows a kind of clear format, and operationally as well, it makes it really simple. We only cook one menu a week, and it's that's the format. So we started with Delhi. We were like, okay, well, what are the other curry house favorites? Korma. We've done that. We curated a menu around that, which is inspired by Pakistan. Then we were like, okay, well, let's go to South India. We have a menu from Hyderabad, which has a salan sauce, which is peanut butter curry, as it's known as on Instagram. So, which is essentially what it is. We make our own peanut butter. We have mirchi, and we have aloo, and then we have a sort of quite basmati rice to go with it. We have a khatti dal, and then we have a sundal, which is a sort of street side snack with coconut. We've actually swapped the sweet corn for butter beans, because people are our customers actually are really into fiber maxing. That's a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing, yes.
Yes, so more than protein, we're like, okay, well, how can we get more fiber in people? Which, if you listen to the right kind of nutritionists, they will tell you that is the more important thing. And in our culture as well, fiber was always a thing we went for rather than kind of protein, because you do get enough protein in the food that you eat naturally, especially if you're focused on good whole foods. You get enough protein that your body needs.
Yeah.
So it was very much about, how the research around the menus was around how people in these regions would eat at home. So there was we looked at lots of cookbooks. Obviously I grew up in India, and like my dad is Punjabi, my mum's from the south. So these are the foods we were eating. My mum would cook food from her home, but she would also want to make sure my dad was getting his style of food. So our, dining table looked very much kind of, north and south. So actually what we put in the dabbas is very much about that. So that's kind of, it's the research. Ultimately, the research is does it feel fresh and nutritious and nourishing? And does it taste good? That is the ultimate research. And we have 4 chefs now who do the cooking. They range from a head of food who kind of is responsible for the conceptualizing the menus alongside me. But he also looks after the kind of nitty gritty of wastage and yield and all of those kind of mechanical things. And then we have some curry chefs, as they're known, who actually do the cooking and make sure every single layer tastes and looks delicious. We have packers who obviously individually portion the tins. We're still in a world of AI and automation, we're still quite a manual business. And we love that because it means that everything is actually hand packed and we can put the love and care behind it, make sure everything is perfectly garnished. And that's how it all comes together. And then it goes on the back of a bike and gets delivered to your home. All ice packed, by the way. It's chilled. So, and the tins are great because they just go directly in the oven, and they're robust enough so you don't kind of, they don't break. And sometimes we do, have like the handle comes off, but we can repair it really easily. So each tin is actually used over 100 times.
Wow.
So yeah, it's super cool. I love a Dabba. It's what a great design.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't take credit for that, but so happy to use it in our day-to-day lives. I have a huge collection at home as well, like brass ones and like little ones. My family always buy me a Dabba from a stall if they see one. That's a nice little present I get every time.
Are your kids involved?
They used to be in the early days, stickering samosa bags or, packing some of the customers' bags or writing a little note to a customer. Yeah. So in the early days, yes, they did. It felt very much like a family business. Now,
obviously, it's a team.
We feed thousands on a weekly basis. So we, from a health and safety point of view, we have to be a bit more stringent. But when, absolutely. When I was cooking for my home, they were very much involved. They were so tiny, they sort of wanted to be involved, but they couldn't necessarily sort of do all the things that they wanted to do, which seemed like really fun. Yeah.
That's so great, and so amazing for them to grow up watching you run this business and represent your culture in such a beautiful way. You talk about zero waste. I want to know a little bit more about the logistics behind that. We probably don't have a lot of time to get into it in detail, but I would love to know how you achieve zero waste. And you said it's with packaging specifically. So yeah, how does that work?
Well, it's actually packaging and food waste.
Okay.
So, and that's why we wanted to make it a subscription. So we know on a Monday how many people we're feeding that week. And that's when we order our ingredients and everything sort of arrives fresh and ready to cook for that week. And by the end of the week, so Friday, we have just enough food to feed the cyclists and the team because we've planned in advance. And, as a business that didn't have tons of money to set up, I was very conscious that I would need to know the orders in advance before buying any of the produce. And that kind of just stuck. Unlike, delivery apps where you can order on demand, you have to have enough stock because you never know how many people you're going to feed. We were like, no, each week needs to be fresh. We need to finish the stock, start again. And so, and because every menu is different, we order different ingredients on a weekly basis. But it means that at the end of the week, there's nothing left in the fridge. It's all emptied out. Our stock take is brilliant and easy. So, it is kind of a fresh start every Monday, which is great. And obviously the packaging means that we're reusing a Dabba 100 times. So we only buy we buy a once a year supply of Dabbas because obviously we have new customers joining us. People go away on holiday. So we have to account for all of those sort of times when we may not get a Dabba back. We buy enough for the whole year and then it just goes back into rotation and it's great. We have, our KP area is, our KP is, which is a kitchen porter.
Okay.
He is one of the most important people in the business because he keeps every Dabba washed and sterilized and puts it back into rotation. So huge credit to him. I always end every team speech thanking him profusely because he is the center of the business. Because without him, we wouldn't be able to do anything.
Absolutely, yeah. Do you have aspirations to expand further beyond London?
Absolutely. In the early days, if you'd asked me, I'd have been like, well, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, and now being able to, having delivered all across London, yes, the next sort of, we have sights definitely on what's next. Should we make it a franchise? How would we grow this business? What are the, how can we celebrate without losing the soul of the brand, which is about celebrating fresh, delicious karka khana. How do we grow this business? That is actually operationally quite heavy because of the swapping of the tins. So that is the plan for 2026. Work that out.
How exciting. And I guess you'll have more brain space as well to do
Yes,
that next
absolutely. I can't wait.
Same, actually. I can't wait because I feel like there are so many people probably outside of London, outside of the UK that may want this. And we're in such a culture of everyone living away from home. So many people live away from families.
Absolutely.
And, you really miss that. And like, I mean, I've gone through such a journey with like Garka Khana and taking it so for granted and then realizing it's the most precious thing ever.
It really is. Even now when I go back, I'm like, Mum, can you cook me something? Or, she'll ask me. And like she is, older now, so I can't expect her to cook or have this whole South Indian feast waiting for me when I get home. But just a simple rasam or sambar it's enough to, to sit down together and eat, just like we used to in the old days. So,
absolutely, yeah. For me, it's always dal chawal. As soon as I get home, it's dal and chawal.
Sambar is the same. It's dal, ultimately. It's the ultimate comfort food. It's nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
And not everyone understands it. But yeah, I mean...
But I also love that you're also bringing that aspect of our nostalgia to other people of other cultures who don't have the same nostalgia.
Yeah.
I like that because it's like it doesn't actually always have to be rooted in nostalgia, but it can be rooted in an appreciation for other people's childhoods and backgrounds and their stories and really like embracing that. I mean, there's that lady, I saw her on TikTok. She's a lady in Goa that opens her dabba every day.
Yeah.
Have
Lily.
you seen that?
Yes, yeah.
I feel like she's gone very viral recently.
Yeah,
and
Tiffin Talk.
Yeah. Speaking of Tiffin Talk and Tiffins, I've been staring at this one.
Oh, yeah.
And I would love for you to open it up for us and
Let's have a
tell me
look.
about this week's menu.
Yes. So this week we are travelling to Gujarat, which is a wonderful part of India. And the food from Gujarat is very much focused on vegetarian cooking. So actually developing this menu was super easy. They have, we didn't have to remodel chicken into a sort of plant-based curry. So yeah, it's loaded with veggies, lots of colour. This is a samparo, which is a stir-fried vegetable dish with mustard seeds and curry leaves. Then we have one of my most favourite undhiyu, which is like a green chutney curry, I suppose, for people who don't know. And we have dal. And then let's put it on here.
Yeah.
And then we have rice, tomato and coconut rice. So yeah, that's the stack, I suppose. And you put it on an oven tray and then it goes in and it's sort of easier to handle. And then onto your table. So yeah.
It looks amazing. It smells even more amazing. I feel like that's something we can't capture on the microphone.
I know, it's fun, isn't it? And
yeah.
Hopefully the colours and the flavours as well. That kind of it is central to the menu sort of development. Making sure that each menu it's not just brown. Because, I mean, we celebrate our skin colour, but our food, absolutely, I was very keen for it to represent all the various colours and textures of our cooking styles. So yeah, that it is a big part of the focus as well, not just, hey, is this, is this tasty? Does it also look good?
Yeah, absolutely. And does it feed one person, one dabba?
I mean, actually, each dabba feeds 2 to 3 people. Some of our customers, like, if you're a single person household, you can get 4 meals out of it, I believe.
Whoa.
Yeah, because it's quite filling, dal, rice, curry, sabzi. You can make it go quite far, especially if you've got a samosa or roti to go with it. There's enough there to fill you up.
Nice.
Each dabba feeds 2. We sell it as a 2-person meal or 2-serve meal. yeah, I mean, when we first started, I was like, is that enough food? And then actually you put it out and start eating it, and it is very, very filling because it's made of real ingredients. It's not kind of filler. It's sort of, it does actually provide you enough nourishment, and you leave the table feeling like, okay, I had flavor and I'm satisfied.
Nice. Do people take it to the office is what I'm dying to know.
I
like
think,
proper dabbas in the office.
yeah, I think as leftovers probably.
Yeah.
I'm not sure because most offices here in the UK don't have like, and you know, it needs to be heated. You're not going to eat curry cold, even though in India you probably do. I think the culture here is very much about you need to eat it hot. So yeah, I think you can take it to the office, and we do have requests for, you know, like, hey, can we have a big office like meal together? So yeah, I mean, that would be a really nice way to kind of bring it back full circle, wouldn't it? To have a dabba delivered to the office.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I love the concept, and I think viscerally it just makes me so happy because I have really missed home food so many times. And I've heard of delivery services, you know, here and there. I've got friends who kind of get someone to like home cook food and deliver it. And there's so many like people kind of even around London who kind of offer that on a very like small scale. But it's so amazing to see a business that's scaling with that concept, because it feels like, speaking to you today, I mean, it feels to me like that you as the founder have so like clearly remembered, you know, all those feelings that come with like, you know, eating food made by loved ones. Or, I mean, even the concept of putting love into food as you're cooking it. I get told off frequently because a lot of my 20s was spent having takeaway. Like Deliveroo was my best friend, or Uber Eats, all of them. And I got told off by family because they were like, oh, but the intention behind that food is not right. It's not being made with love. What are you eating? What are you putting in your body? And this in some ways feels like it's reinventing that in some capacity.
Absolutely. I mean, 100%. I was a Deliveroo lover as well in my 20s. And the guilt that comes with, you know, the food that you're eating. I mean, actually, it's not even the feeling. Your tummy is not, you know, it's not in a good place after you've eaten that food, whether it's Indian food or whatever else you've eaten. It just feels just not great.
It's especially when you've done it not because it's a luxury or fun or exciting. You've done it because you're hungry and you don't have any other option, and you're just doing it quickly. Yeah. Those are the times where I wake up the next day with regrets.
Yes, exactly. And like, you know, it was regret on the consumption, it's regret on the plastic, on your kitchen, the money, all of those things. So yeah, it was very much about, you know, when we started, it was like, and it still is like, how could we take away that guilt from all angles and make you feel loved and looked after and, you know, proud of putting some food in your body.
Tell me, Anshu, what are you super excited about at the moment?
So one of the plans that we've actually been speaking to some of our customers, our oldest customers, and they've been telling us different ways in that DabbaDrop could fit into their lives in their kitchen. And so we are currently looking at developing a new range of DabbaDrop sauces, shelf-stable sauces that allows us to go into people's kitchens in different ways across the country. So that is a big focus for 2026. It will allow us, like I was saying, keeping the soul of what we do intact is very crucial without kind of losing the love and the brand kind of, you know, feeling. So yeah, that's one of the areas we're looking at sort of growing over the next 12 to 18 months. And then, of course, yeah, the Dabba as well will travel in other ways across the country as well.
It's amazing to see how far you've come. I mean, a 7-figure business is, I can only imagine like the ins and outs of that, like running that every day. It can't have been easy. What has been the biggest learning that you've had as a founder in the 7 years? Well, not the biggest. That's a very dramatic question. Maybe a key learning that you can think of.
don't ever lose sight or don't stop believing in yourself, because you will have loads of people advising you on the right path to take because they've done it that way, or, focus on margins for the sake of the quality that you're putting out there. Only you as the founder know what you're building, and really hold on to that, because that's what makes you different to everybody else. Don't become, unless you want to go that route, don't become the cookie cutter sort of like business that someone tells you or an investor says that you should do. Hold on to who you are, and believe in yourself. You know best. Trust that gut. I know we're all living in a world where we are obsessed with data and, figures and facts.
Yeah.
Sometimes your gut knows more than anything else. So yeah, absolutely. These days, I really, say I've done an interview with somebody or interviewed a few people and I'm like, who should I hire? I actually rely on my gut a lot these days, more than, data or... It's so crucial in a world where everything is automated. It's really important to look inside yourself and know who you are, what you're building, what you need to do to make the right decision. And honestly, like every time you look back on decisions that you've made, and I'm so guilty of this, I've never trusted my gut. I've always been like, actually, no, the data is saying that, so I'm going to go with that. And then I've always regretted it. And actually, I've finally gotten to the point in my 40s where I'm like, trust that gut. It knows. It really knows. Whether it's the food or, whatever else, your gut knows, like you were saying.
Yeah, in all aspects of the word, right?
Yeah.
But no, here's to, I guess, just listening to our gut and also nourishing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
Thank you. One last question I ask all my guests, which I'll ask you as well, Anshu, is what do you have strong game in?
Oh, I hope making a banging curry.
Hey, I love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to tuck in today. And
I hope you enjoy it.
yes, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's been a pleasure.
I'm so excited to continue to see DabbaDrop grow and can't wait basically to see where you take it.
Oh, super excited. Thank you so much.
Thank
It's been great to
you.
chat.